Welcome to From Scratch, hosted by Kyeli Brennan, the show that shines a light on the hustlers of the sports world, from pro athletes to the people working tirelessly behind the scenes. We dive into the untold stories of grit, sacrifice, and relentless ambition. Each episode, we sit down with guests who built their careers from the ground up, grinding through setbacks, chasing opportunity, and putting in the work when no one was watching. This isn't just about where they are now. It's about how they got there. If you're building your own path or just love a good story, this one is for you. Today I'm joined by Athletes Unlimited professional softball player and former beloved FSU catcher, Michaela Edenfield, also known as Area 51. She finished her career ranked second in FSU history for career slugging percentage, third all-time home runs, third all-time in walks, fifth all-time in RBIs, and she joins Jesse Warren as one of only two Seminoles to have three separate seasons with 50-plus RBIs. Known for her razzle-dazzle makeup inspiring so many to be themselves, she's incredible on the diamond and an even better person. Coming from Sneads, Florida, Edenfield went from small-town famous to being one of the most recognizable collegiate softball players. So let's dive right in hear from Michaela. So how was this summer? I mean, just even from like a perspective of watching you play at FSU, I've been dying to know what it was like with the inaugural season with Athletes Unlimited, and just tell me about
Yeah, I mean, with first, there's a lot of uncertainty, and I knew going into first of all, getting the golden ticket, which was a super cool surprise. As you know, our senior weekend got canceled due to the school shooting. We were going to play against Georgia Tech, and then that happened, and you can't control things like that on campus, which is like super, super sad. But it was really impactful to see how the community even more so supported us through everything with that, because with that, senior stuff was canceled. We ended up doing like senior stuff probably in the middle of a week or something like that. I can't like specifically remember the dates, and I remember so many people showed out to the Plex and came out to support us doing our like senior superlative activities, if you will. And to be able to get drafted in the first place was super cool. I never thought it was going to be me. I was looking around, like, did not know who to expect, what to expect. All I know is I see the AUSL video being played on the board, and it's pretty cool. And then now, like a couple months fast forward, the first, right? I think it was super, super cool. We covered 10 different cities, 10 different markets, definitely feeling out what pro softball really means or what this league is trying to represent. As a statistic, I think there's been 15 attempts for a professional softball league. Usually it never goes over like 3. So hopefully this will be the league that we will see for the next couple decades, and generations of softball players that are highly talented. Hopefully, like, this will be something as we see as an MLB model.
trying something 15 different times. That's saying that you know that there's the appetite for it. What did you see across those 10 different markets? What was the response to the AUSL visiting?
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool. I mean, for me, I was thankful to be in the room. This goes back to my hometown traits, being from a small 1A high school, Sneads, Florida. It's just cool to be in the room of just legends of the game. Current, I guess you could say has been, but to me, like, we think about the Olympics, we think about Monica Abbott, we think about my GM, Kat Osterman, we think about Kelly Crutchman, my coach from this past season, we think about, like, those big names, Lisa Fernandez, a GM for the Talons, and they won the first year's inaugural championship. And I just think it's cool, for one, to see the different generations of the legends of the game kind of take this pro softball into their own hands. They've been a part of probably 3 different fast pitch leagues that all failed. And to see not only those that are taking more of a coaching, a GM, a managerial standpoint, but the athletes, the players themselves. Like, we have plenty of girls in their 30s. I mean, I played with Jessie Warren, and I remember being in high school watching Jessie make that play at the World Series and bawling my eyes out as if I was there myself. And now, fast forward, me and her are teammates. I would have never thought this would have happened ever in my wildest dreams. And just to be a part of the room of the greats, just super grateful because I've been asking a whole lot of questions, and what better room to ask than the room that's been providing and pushing so much for the sport and so much for women's sports in general. Just super, super proud. And it's cool to see how things have shifted throughout the year. The 10 different markets. For me, I'm an East Coast gal. Grew up in Florida, definitely more accustomed to the East Coast thanks to the ACC. But we actually went over on the West Coast, scouted Seattle as a market. And to me, I grew up in Florida, right? So, like, every weekend it's hot. Every weekend you're going to be outside. You're doing something physical outside growing up, like tubing, going out randomly, like on the water, like something of outside's always being involved. And I think when you hit these different markets, you start to realize how sport and sport dynamics are in a geography standpoint because of the different markets. It was really, really cool to see people come out in Wichita. Never played there, never seen that place like one on one before. It was super cool to see that in Seattle and to see some of the greats over in that program. I never got to play Washington, maybe except for once in the World Series. So just being able to see those coaches, Heather Tarr, like putting like faces to names I've heard over and over and over again in this name, and now they are either my teammate or someone I can kind of see and meet through this journey of the inaugural season is super cool. I know for a fact we're gonna have locations for each team this following summer, and I think to me it just shows a lot of what's going on top down. And I think Kim Ng and Sam Fisher, I think they've been doing an amazing job working um to be better, to constantly ask for feedback. I can't tell you how many forums there's been on, gosh, DocuSign for us to go through and like really give crucial feedback for what we are wanting, what are we needing, and how are our trends trending from other pro leagues. And just to see Kim Ng come in with all of her experience, I remember when I first heard about AUSL and I heard that there was going to be like, a big time GM, a big like commissioner, I was like, oh, well, I wonder who is it going to be. And when I found out it was Kim Ang, I was absolutely stoked because to me that shows like true legitimacy of a league. Like, it starts top down, who's going to be the ringleader of it. And when you have someone, the repertoire as she came in, I mean, it seems pretty foolproof then, right? And then on to the next, like taking it a step further, like she's constantly calling us, texting us, putting up Zoom calls, making sure that we're well informed, telling us the trends, telling us our interactions on social media, telling us what we can expect year by year, and actually backing it up with evidence. And me being a rookie, I'm blessed to be in the room. I'm taking everything for what it is for this one year. To the other girls that have been here for years and years have built upon what was just AU to AUSL, and to see the like league change from their hands personally and to hear their stories, their experiences is what's like even more so empowering me to continue to do what I want to do and continue to play softball and advocate for it. Because I mean, plenty of these girls have put a whole decade of their life towards softball, in particular professional softball. So it's just really cool to see this payout kind of transform. And the vets are, they're like, wow, like we didn't think this, and this, but look at what's going on now. And I just really am really, really grateful again to be in the room and just to put on another uniform. I didn't have to hang up my uniform right out of college. How many female athletes can say that?
Definitely. I mean, I remember reading your post when you're closing your chapter with FSU, and it is really fortunate that we do get to see more Michaela Edenfield on a softball field. You mentioned that there's going to be locations for each team. Is that something that you kind of know where you'll potentially be this coming year for the Vault?
I have no idea. So we are going to be expanding to 6 teams. That's been big kudos of talk right now. Oh my gosh. And with the expansion, with the 2 additional teams, we're going to be branching off. I have a chance to be picked and selected to play for a different team. But if I don't, I would still remain on the Volts roster. So there could be a chance that I play for a different team the following summer as some of your other favorite pro softball players, which is really cool to see just because if we're thinking like location wise, I would love, love, love to be East Coast gal. That's definitely like my market, preferably. I love, Eastern time. I like waking up to it. I definitely think some of the challenges this summer, I had to continually like remind myself. I mean, it was week to week to week to week to week. We were traveling. A big massive suitcase, a couple like a carry-on and like a big duffel, and I had that thing for 3 weeks while playing softball, while like doing my clothes and stuff, my laundry like at the hotels. Like it's something that like they don't tell you when you sign up for it. They're like, "Oh yeah, this is what you're going to have to do." Like, no, no, no. Now, mind you, I think AUSL did a great job with how we handled things and it made the flow. It was very in and out, but still like there's some things about the league. There's some things with travel that I just wasn't quite expecting. I wasn't expecting to have to go, almost a month out of my apartment to then move out of my Tallahassee apartment and then like figure out the next stage of life while also in season. So that was definitely intimidating. Give me just 1 second. I feel like my chair's about to fall.
Oh, you're good.
It totally was. I think as soon as I got good, I did it.
Is that a little cat or a dog?
Sure is. It is a cat. This is Big Boy.
Oh my goodness, he's huge.
He's big. And this is Casper. He's also kind of big, but he's my pretty baby.
So cute.
He's like the Gerber child. He's got these massive blue eyes.
Wait, yes.
Okay.
Where do they go when you're?
I had it. So while I was still in Tallahassee, I had my roommate and a couple friends come in and check in on my cats. But during the break in season, there was a 2 week break for people that played international ball. That's literally the reason why they put the break, was for Olympic players to be able to go over to China and compete for the World Cup, which is also super cool. But also stay in mind that the Pro Softball League had to put on pause for players that play in like for their for their country, which I think is very interesting because you wouldn't see that with MLB as much as it would be for softball. Just for an idea of like the pool of athletes that like we are using in AUSL is really cool to think about. Yeah, are we joining? He's like, I'm gonna sit right here if that's cool. I can't with him. Anyways. No, but into that piece, like it's super cool to see the difference just because of pool size. Like I said, just super, super grateful. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's a second guest.
Yeah, he's just here.
So, among not really having a home base, playing for AUSL, and just being on the road the entire time, what are some other learning curves that you experienced?
Well, for one, I started off AUSL thinking that I didn't belong there. I was definitely alienating myself a lot just because I was undermining my body of work at Florida State. I'm very proud of the 5 years I spent, very happy for all of the ups and downs of my career collegiately. But, like, truthfully, it's like this ceiling. You never want to be the best in the room. You never do, right? Always want to push yourself, always want to challenge yourself. But I will say, being in that room, intimidating. And it was a lot to think about in the moment of my, like, self-confidence, and it's really important about like how you talk to yourself. And to me, a lot of people think I embody confidence, like what my makeup stands for, how I present myself on the field. Like a lot of people talk about me and they talk about confidence and they ask me like, how can I get that? How can I be better? How can I communicate on the field? Like I just want to feel like I take up more space. And for me that is known to play like that to feel belittled and small, like I had a really big reality check of like, no, 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 like they chose me, and either I can like take this experience for like what it is, learn, and then like, excuse my French, but like bust my ass the next, off season, and then really give like my value for the next summer. Like that's kind of my mentality, because I know I didn't play Michaela Edenfield out in the softball field this summer. And then there's a million excuses for like why, but I can also say post grad, there's a whole lot going on. And like honestly, it's another reminder that like we're all human. And to have those moments where I felt like I was at my lowest, and to be able to converse with some of the greats of the league, to have Rachel Garcia on my team, and I'm talking to her and I'm like, hey, like I don't even know why I play softball anymore, right? And then I'm like talking to her, she's epic, great, like every person in the softball community should have an idea of who Rachel Garcia is. And for her to say like, well dude, I've thought about quitting before. Huh?
Yeah.
Like, like it's another reminder that you're not alone. And there's like, if all the successful people that we look up to, influencers, your TikTokers, your other celebrity athletes, like all of those people that we look up to, they're human, and they've probably been through the same feelings that we're going through right now. And they decided to make a choice. They either knew their worth, knew their value, knew what direction that they were going to go through, and they kept pushing. Or two, like we hear about like our Disney stars, they like hit that peak, they don't know what to do, and then they fall down because they don't ask for help. And that's the big thing, is vulnerability and asking for help. And going through what happened my senior year at Florida State, and coach battling through breast cancer, that truly, again, life lesson. You can be around this sport every day and it will teach you something new. And for me, it was a lot about vulnerability and opening up and kind of being at the lowest, but to learn from that and to see Coacha like reach out, and to see people reach out to Coacha, and that itself kind of inspired me to take that to my personal life and be vulnerable and reach out, because I can talk to myself and I can alienate myself for 2 weeks straight and not like want to be around people, or like I can choose to like try, you know, asking people for help, asking what they do, learning from them. But if I'm going to be in this room, then like the least thing I can do is learn from these people. If I can't apply it to my own life, then like, hey, like whatever, right? But I can at least sit down and sit and think and watch them and record every little thing for a part of the game, the cat and mouse game, of calling pitches, and like really understand how these athletes got to the level that we are all at, but specifically how they do it and how they succeed. And that was, again, kind of reminded me of my redshirt year all over again. To, still keep in contact with my Florida State girlies, my Seminole sisters. I had Christina and Allison Royalty come out and support me in Texas. Like, I think they came around like right when I needed them, because that was kind of the shifting point of the summer for me, mentally. It's just super cool to see like the aspect of softball, but me personally, I definitely don't think the summer was ideal, but like with not ideal circumstances comes a lot of growth, only if you allow it to be that way. So I'm super grateful for the community that I have, grateful to have Coacha. I text her, I call her every now and then trying to catch up. I kind of feel like an ex-girlfriend when I'm seeing Florida State softball posts people, and it's not like of me or any of my girls. I'm like,
You're like, who is this?
like the moment that someone wears 51 in a Florida State uniform, I might be extremely unwell. Check in
I
on
think
me.
everyone would be unwell, to be quite honest with you. That would be
I
a bold
remember,
move.
I remember literally having the conversation on the phone with Kat, and she knew Jazzy Franzik was gonna take her number, and she was like, "Man, at least I had like 1 year." And I was like, oh, but I like Jazzy. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, there's going to be a conversation down the road where someone's gonna wear 51 and I'm gonna be like, I don't know about all
Do
this.
you know the pressure that would be bringing on yourself to wear a 51 jersey to be a big hitter?
Hey, like
They'll bring the banner back out and put it on the parking garage.
I hope so. I mean, if there's gonna be another 51, might as well be another Area 51. Like, hey, shout out to her. Hopefully me and her can like have a really good like connection. If not, that would stink. No, but I like see Florida State softball posts and like just continuing to see the program evolve. I got my first like alumni package and like it really hit me. I like bawled my eyes out as I'm like reading coach's cursive and then like it really hit me for the first time that I should like if I was like still a part of college I would be waking up for morning like fall workouts right now. Like I would be up and I would be in my first class. I'm like, thank God I graduated and I don't have to do school right now. Like hallelujah. Like some of those things post grad hit you the hardest when you least expect it because you go in such a ritual of school, the community, the amount of people that you're seeing like day to day into a choice of like what your career choice was, got a big one for how many people you get to be surrounded by, but like your daily choices. And I think with being a professional softball player, it's a lot different from being a professional athlete in any other league, including the WNBA. Off season training, completely different. Off season, roughly 9 months long. So like if you're thinking about that from that piece, like it's hard to put that all in right now, but it's super cool to see what that will look like in 5 years. What will our training, our setup be from 5 years from now, and how that kind of reflects onto the overall growth of the league. Because I think about it, like it's kind of crazy. You don't hear about that. Like of course, like MLB, your NFL, they're gonna have their like month and a half vacation where you like hear all of them getting like engaged and they all got like fiancés. Like everyone knows like that athlete hiatus, they are off the internet, off the world, right? And then I feel like with softball, like I'm still having, of course, like to have to work another job, but like on top of that, like realistically, like training wise, it is solely dependent on me. So
Right.
for many people, solo training is not in the cards for them. And we want to say, like, how much time and how much do you really care about it is when you're having to self motivate yourself to do work on your own, by yourself, with no one else, when it's a team sport. Tough. And then we're supposed to have, like, that 9 month off season. And then we compete for 3 months. And you think about like for some people that may not be able to have accessibility to live pitching and
Right.
being able to have like it's real even though like we're all softball players and we all played probably Division 1 ball. Like you hit post grad, you're hitting a different job, you're hitting different hours. Like if you don't work as an assistant coach or in a softball program or coaching a softball, like, and if you're choosing to be a doctor like Corby Otis is, or like you're trying to go into a different field other than being around the sport itself, that's a lot of intentional solo lonely hours. And I think that's something that people overlook in professional softball players right now, is that we're having to put in a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of things all our own, and it's our self-motivation to look good for 3 months. And hopefully that will look good for 3 months. That's
Right.
considering that like not everyone has accessibility to like good machines, live pitching, like real things like that. And that's different. Everyone knows practice speed and game speed is a whole different thing. So
Definitely.
definitely like it's not something they put like on the piece of paper when they're like, oh, you're a professional athlete now. Like it's not one of those things, but it's definitely something that is a lot different compared to other professional sports.
I was going to say, when you think of other professional sports and the time that's put in solo on your own time, you think of self discipline mainly with time in the gym, how you're choosing to work out, what your nutrition looks like. But with softball, I mean, who Are you calling different people to catch bullpen? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, for me, I'm applied at two different places right now to be an instructor. I should be hearing back from DBATs here soon. But like I'm gonna be doing like lessons, camps part-time to be training at those facilities and to like be able to call in and be like, I know a girl that does pitching lessons there. Hey, I'm just good. Can I be, oh my God, can I be the catcher for like 2030?
Right.
And then kind of like figure out that and kind of like weave through that piece to get in like real time stuff, real time catching, real time hitting. I'm probably going to end up traveling to South Carolina a good bit around Clemson because Amanda Lorenz and Mackenzie Clark are around there. And even though I can't stand Clemson, like they have a good training facility and like they like me, okay? Like it's nice to know people, it's nice to connect, but like we really have to make an importance of that to be able to be better just for the 3 months of action that we get, if three.
Yeah. And I mean, is there any sort of like practice grace period before, the first game to like
Yeah.
get everybody up to
Yeah.
that same level?
Yeah. I mean, for this past summer, when I got drafted, I had like essentially like a week to get in before our first game.
Wow.
But even still, like, that's a week. And not everyone was there, like, completely on time. I mean, Brie Ellis had to go through her National Player of the Year, accept her award. So she was, like, in a bit later. I was surprised she made an orientation. I was like, gosh, let the girl have a day to herself.
Yeah.
But
Great.
no. Sorry, I just had to go win Player of the Year. No, and she's literally the coolest. Like I said, it's about the people and it's about the room that I got invited to, and I'm trying to make every bit of that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the side quests. Just because one of my favorite things that I saw on social media in the past couple of months was the talks that you were giving with MLB RBI and just, the makeup tutorials, the answering their questions. If you just talk to me a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, they reached out to me due to I forgot what it was I did, and I was like, they were like, would you like to come down to Vero Beach for like a day and speak to the kids? And I was like, oh, absolutely. I love kids. Like, what better like opportunity? Like, it's always good for me to meet new people and network around MLB. So I was like, why not? I would love to. So I go down and just to be around the Jackie Robinson training piece again. I played a state championship game there. So it was kind of like a full circle moment for me. But also like looking at those girls, it looked like I was looking at a younger version of myself all over again. Just due to the upbringing, money related, if you know anything about like the MLB RBI piece. It's essentially like they're wearing the pro teams, the Braves, like across their chest. It's like a whole organization. Kind of help fund and work through there. It's super cool to see like the level of softball and how it's gotten better through those programs with MLB RBI. But to like for them to want to reach out to me and find value in me to talk to those kids, I was very excited, and they were like, well, we don't really know what like all you want to talk about. Like if you want, like we could just give you the mic and you can just talk. And I was like thinking about it. I was like, you know what? Why not? And that's essentially what happened. I didn't really know what I was doing. I know I was hitting things that were speaking to me at the heart, things I knew that I wish I probably heard at their age, things to kind of like, not be so uptight and serious, but also having real genuine conversation. And I think just seeing it from my point of view and being a little bit closer to their age range, I mean, like your mom can tell you something when you're a kid over and over and over and over and over again, and you're not going to do it because that's your mom. But like the moment like someone that you maybe admire or think is cool, or like someone maybe from a higher up position but like similar age range, like something like that speaks to you, like I speak to that audience a little bit more. And to hear those girls ask me questions and for me to be vulnerable to those girls, I told them the same thing I told you. I thought about quitting. Like I was like, God, I suck. Like I don't even know why I play softball anymore. Like to see like when I said that out loud and see all of their faces of shock, and they're like, what? And, like it's like the same reaction I had with Rachel, but like, with 50 plus girls. That's just like another reminder for them too. Like I'm human, we're all human. Like it's a matter of how you deal about it, how you go about it, not like I just feel this way and I'm the only one that feels this way. So I just covered a bunch of different pieces of the mental talk, but also like taking care of you. I think there should always be a little bit more of personal questions asked in a Q&A, not so much like, oh, like, what do I need to lift to be better at softball? Like, there's some things that are just gonna naturally come, but I'm always super, super big on talking, communicating to the girls about like taking time for you, taking time for you to understand that you're not making a sacrifice. Telling your friends that you can't hang out because you have practice is not a sacrifice. You are not dying, okay? Like, there is nothing, no hurt that's not a sacrifice. You're making a decision. And I think the more we can kind of get off the idea, I feel like in this generation, this day and age, everything feels so unreal, uncanny, unreal. Like everything is like such a drag, you know? Like, oh, I'm sacrificing. It makes you feel like sacrifice is what these kids mean. Like, oh, I'm literally sacrificing my time. No, you're making a decision. You're trying to invest your time to do what? To be better. Why do you want to be better? Do you want a scholarship? You want to play softball? Do you want a degree paid for? Maybe you're trying to save some money in that piece. Like, remind yourself of like your reason and your why, and be so strong and so like have a firm understanding for what that means to you, and all the riffraff will feather out. All those friends that complain about you, are they really your friends? Are they just people that want you to be like an accessory to your friend group, you know? Because I can't tell you how many times like it's fun and games to be like the cool athlete until people are only wanting you to be around because you're the cool athlete, and they don't see like that person deep in. But how are you supposed to be that person if you're not outwardly that person deep in? So it's about knowing your right, your truth, but also knowing yourself and your value.
I love the difference you pointed out between a decision and sacrifice, and how sacrifice really has become a very overused word in this day and age. Was that a self-realization, or did somebody instill that in you?
First day softball coach definitely instilled that in me. I always think I reuse every word I've probably learned with the past 5 years over and over and over again. I mean, of course, we have Ellie Cooper, the mental performance coach current, but I've worked with Brian Kane and Dr. Tom, just a bunch of experienced people in the mental performance space, and it's just super cool just to be able to learn. Every fall we go over books that are about mental toughness and how to persevere. And I think one of my favorite books is It Takes What It Takes, which in a gist, imagine all of like your mental health, like BetterHelp, like books, and all of it is just condensed into a very small book. And I like think about it, and we wore a little band for Team 40, I believe. Yeah, we wore the band, and it said ITWIT, which was short for It Takes What It Takes. And anytime we felt like a teammate was below the line or just not like performing, practicing how they should be, we would say flip it. So they would have to take their band and flip it onto their other hand, which made accountability a little bit easier versus like being like, for some people, they take things a lot like personally, you know, like, hey, just flip it, because it can just be super short and two. And I just think like the it takes what it takes mentality, we're lacking a bit of that because people don't really know the purpose for what they're trying to achieve. So I just feel like if we can stop interacting on a surface level and actually get to our reasons and our whys, like everything that we feel in our sport, everything that we feel outside of the sport will just be a lot more fulfilled.
It's interesting how, you know, they always say there's a disconnect between the head and the heart, and we can observe everyone on a social media level, what we think is going on, what we think it's taking, and, you know, in our hearts we may know, okay, like there's probably stuff going on behind the scenes. There's probably a lot more that goes into this. There's probably XYZ, but our heads don't make that connection always, and just think, oh, nope, that's reality.
Yeah.
That's 100% it right there.
And that's because we've become performative on social media, from I mean, this has been over a decade. How many times we see our Tumblr or our Instagram people, like, we want life to be cookie cutter perfect to where people assume that, like, as well, look at me, I'm bougie, like, kind of like shifting perspective, narrowing on what I'm doing, right? What looks good, what does physically look like to me. But at the same time, like, there's a level of realness when we think about like some of our favorite influencers. Like for me, I like Monet Michaels. I think she's the it because she has a really good way of, yes, like highlighting the good in her life, but also being very real, and also will be honest and take a step back, realize everything, and then go forward with everything, and kind of take that time to be a human being on social media. But there's only so many genuine people that we see like that on this space, and I always think, like, with the attraction, like, becomes a bunch of responsibility. And if we don't know how to be responsible for, think about my 5 friends on how they view me, how are we supposed to be responsible for millions?
Well, let's hit rewind on the clock a little bit because we've been talking about it takes what it takes and the decisions made. And let's go back to you grew up in Sneads, Florida.
Hmm.
Population there just over 1,700, I believe.
Maybe.
So, I mean, tell me a little bit about Sneads. Like, where would if I was starving and I was in Sneads, where would the best place to eat be?
Probably Johnny Max if it's still open. Oh my god, that place changes like every other year. I haven't been back in Sneeds in a good bit, but I'm pretty sure Johnny Max is still open. No, I mean, Sneeds, you can drive, if you go on 90, you can drive right through it in a blink of an eye. There's a four-way stop in the middle of town that's right by the high school. The loop for the buses is renamed after my amazing high school volleyball coach, Sheila Roberts. She was there for my first 2 years, and then her daughter went to Florida State for volleyball. And then Heather Edge and Heather Brinkmeyer, excuse me, took over for my last 2 years for high school volleyball. But I mean, just talking about a place that instilled that culture in me, truly, I owe Sheila Roberts a lot. She is now getting up in age and is battling Alzheimer's, which is something super crazy that no one really like tells you how to deal with those things with people. For me, impactful coaches, and to kind of sit back and think about like how grateful I've had two strong women coaches really impact my life, and for both of them to be battling something right now is kind of a low blow. It's kind of sad to see, but at the same time, it's another reminder to be grateful for everything in what you have now and the people that you have around you. There's going to be, your ups and downs, but definitely just a reminder to take care of those people. Hold them tight. Make sure you tell them they love you. But on top of that, I think with Sneeds, there's always been a mentality for me, like, I love Sneeds, but I always wanted to be more than Sneeds. And I'm not saying that, like, oh, I want to be too good for this small town. Like, there's not what I'm trying to say. I have always dreamt of more than living in a town with a four-way stop being my only guidance for traffic.
I think that's okay.
Like, I think I can have like a skyscraper or two, right? No, but it's super cool because like the town has done such a great job not only supporting me. I mean, clearly, like right before I got into college, when my grandpa passed, he was a big part of the community, especially around the high school because of the amount of years that he spent with me, my sister, my mom, my aunt. He was constantly there for all of us, for all of our sports, because my mom played volleyball, basketball, softball. So did my aunt. One of my aunt also, my mom and my eldest aunt did band too. Like, that was a whole
Wow.
different, yeah, I think they did 4 sports because of lifting and band. Like, that was just a whole different day and time. But my grandpa was there for all of that. And when I lost him, I didn't lose, like, I say I didn't lose, but I didn't lose not only like my big supporter, but there was a big piece of the community around the women's sports that were so strong over in Sneeds. That kind of, you figure out, a couple parents start to realize like what everything like my grandpa did behind the scenes. It's kind of cool to see like how the community supported me through that tough patch. because truly a lot of people cared and loved and cherished my grandpa a lot more than just me. He wasn't just grandpa to me, he was Grandpa Roy or Mr. Roy for others. And to go through that on a personal level and see people like support me through that piece, and then taking in the highs and lows of college, and then now onto the professional piece. And I'm thinking about it now, I'm like, man, like I gotta call my hitting coach from when I was 12 at some point and see how he's doing to check in, because it's really cool. I'm living my dream life. I have been able to be a part of rooms I never dreamt I'd be a part of, but it's also now a big part of me is wanting to give back and give my thanks to all of those people that have supported me and to push me into those rooms and to continue to be there for me and support me. So I'm super grateful to be from Sneads, Florida, and I know a lot of my Sneads folks are very, very proud for me and what I do and what I represent for the community for youth sports in general. And that's not just females, that's males included. It's super cool.
I love that, and I love that mentality of giving back to the people that brought you up. And it sounds like with your grandpa's involvement in just about everything that he also may have instilled that in you and inspired you to be that way.
Absolutely.
One thing I want to ask is, as you're applying to instructor roles right now, having the two legendary coaches that you mentioned, Coach and then also Coach Roberts, who you said has been very impactful in your life, what are maybe some things from both of their styles that you're hoping to impart to young girls?
To me, I think as a coach, you need to have a level of firmness, but also a way to get to your player. And I think I've always seen the amount of time that those two will take to be able to really get to know someone. And at the end of the day, you have to treat the person before you treat the athlete. And the only way you can learn the fastest as an athlete is when someone understands you as a person and knows how you take things and knows like how can I teach you so you can learn. And I think breaking that all down, like Coach Roberts, she really knew how to like get me going, to get me like kind of like more disciplined than I've ever been in my athletic standpoint through high school. I definitely got that discipline from her, and through some of those summer workouts I put in my time there, definitely got me ready for college. I think some of those summer workouts were harder than any of my college workouts, but let's keep what was cooking in Sneeds. Let's keep it on the down low.
Run to the four-way stop and back.
No, absolutely. And I think too, like as a female coach, like you have to have this level of what most people would assume is bitchiness. No, it's firmness. It's called I'm being real and I want things done. That's accountability. There's rhyme, there's reason with it. But there's also got to be that level of understanding. And Coach always said that she dressed up. We did this Halloween thing one year and we dressed up of what we represent on the softball field. So you know what Coach puts on? She puts on like bear costume with like a sergeant whistle, because she's like a mama bear, but like at the same time, like she can be like onto you and she can be like pure drill. She's had us up at 4 a.m. doing bear crawls on that softball grass before, and there's this, yeah. And you gotta think, like, you're trying to imagine Coach like clipboard touching it, yelling at us like pure sergeant. And then the next thing you know, he's just like, "How are you? Hugs."
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and I think like there's both sides of it that you need. You need to have that comfortability, the understanding, the how to get to your athlete, and I think that's how to get to the person before the athlete. And then for two is to be real and to set risk rewards, set discipline. What does that look like? And I think with the younger kids, like can't tell you how many times I've probably done wall planks and or Jesus sat up on a wall. There's plenty of things that I've done throughout my years of athletics that, man, like I love coaching all at the same time. And then everyone says the younger generation's the worst, like but I feel like truly, like, our parents were right. Like every generation, it feels like it's going downhill.
Yeah.
But like it's also funny because now I feel like It's my responsibility in its own way because I do truly owe this sport to help bridge the next group of athletes. If people want to be a better softball athlete and they want to get coached, then by all means, sign me up. I want someone that wants to be coached. So I'm super excited for this next chapter, and hopefully I can continue to get back to softball and hopefully be behind a mic at some point in time. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Speaking to this younger generation of athletes, it's time and time again, I feel like you've talked about accountability and vulnerability. What does it take to make it to the collegiate level for maybe a young softball athlete that wants to get to that level?
Not being your own cop out. That's what I would tell a bunch of these younger kids. They're being their own cop out for either one, they don't want to be vulnerable enough to tell people that they need help. Because training, you don't have to have the money, you don't have to have the big fancy machines to get the work done. Sometimes you just simply need another hand. And I think, again, like everyone wants to do things on their own to a certain level. And I think especially once you hit that preteen, teenage point, like that's when you really want your own independence for your own life and you want to start driving to places on your own. And with that becomes like your own responsibility of like don't be your own cop out. Like you said you were gonna do something, so do it. I reminds me to the it takes what it takes. If you're gonna be about it, then be about it. I think there's a level of accountability, especially with the internet. We get used to saying a lot of things online and doing a lot of things online, but not backing it up in person. So if you're gonna do something, do it. Don't just talk about it. Talk is cheap.
I've heard you say talk is cheap before, and I love it. I love it because
Yeah, that was on the back of one of the Sneed's volleyball shirts.
yeah. See, there we go. It all goes back to Sneeds.
It all goes back. It
I would
all
say
goes
all
back.
roads lead, but evidently there's four. So
Yeah, you're not going much. Either you're going to elementary school, going around to probably where my grandpa's house was, or hitting the main way to go 90 to go somewhere else other than Sneed. So
well, one thing I want to ask that's probably more of an obvious question, but just for anyone that tunes into this, I mean, especially with baseball, youth baseball, I mean, it has gotten very expensive. A lot of
outrageous.
like flashiness, showcase baseball, all this. Is it possible in this day and age to get recruited to collegiate softball or collegiate sport without having um, the means to engage with some of those like flashy showcases?
Let me tell you something. I took my little small town butt and I had on gardener gloves as hitting gloves because my hitting gloves I would sweat through and ruin Nike or whatever like name brand batting gloves at that point in time that they wouldn't last me more than 2 weeks. So I would go out to tournaments with gardening gloves
Love
because
it.
they wouldn't get ruined as fast. And truly, like it's not about the like the flag. Like don't get me wrong, swag is swag. Swag's always gonna be the in. And we see it in MLB. Everything's going more flashy. How can I be more customizable as a player? Like that's cool and all. But man, I know guys wish they were just girls sometimes. I know you wish you had a signature pony look, don't you?
Yeah, I
You
mean
had
the
a
bedazzled cleats. Come
I'm
on,
like,
come
dude,
on.
like you had to get that bedazzled chain because you can't wear like three braids. Like,
Yeah,
okay, just say you're jealous. Like, there's a level of like being yourself that is kind of limited as a male, and it has to go onto like those flashy things, gloves, what you're wearing, colors, chains. You get it. Swag is swag. I respect it. But I think too, it's not, like I said, it's not about like the pricey things. I didn't swing the best bat growing up. I swung like literally a worth bat, and people are probably like, oh, like a worth. I think I swung a worth catalyst for the longest amount of time. Hey, she still hit balls over the fence, okay?
yep,
When my mom had to bring my birth certificate every weekend for a good bit of my teenage life because people doubted my real age, like hey, the worth did me it did me good, but it's not about those pieces. I think at the end of the day, college coaches, like, yes, they want to see like you succeed. They want to see like you be a good athlete, but it's about you being a good human being too. Because I think at a certain stage, and you see it a lot in male college athletics, is that they get a bunch of these great athletes for a money price, but then they perform absolutely crap. It makes you wonder, well, oh, they're good athletes, but and the program has the money. I don't see why they're not doing good. What is the culture? Who are the kids outside of the money and outside of the sport? Do they really like the sport, or do they just like the money that brings along with the sport? Like, there's a lot of culture piece that we're missing that, like, thankfully, you don't really get to see as much of that with softball because we're thinking we're probably like 150 years behind all male sports and considering of like money and TV and all of that. So of course we're going to be different. Culture is different because women are going to back up one another every single time, and I think it's just a whole different ball field, right? But with that being considered, I truly think the culture piece behind softball is not about the flashiness. It's about the people. It's about the person. I think truly that's the reason why I went to Florida State is because I felt family before it got told to me. And I went out and I got recruited to a bunch of different places and they kept being like, we're family. And I look over and I see two of the girls on the team and they look like they hate each other's guts. And I'm like, yeah, family my butt, but like, you
Yeah.
know? So I think there's an aspect of that like really holds true. And I do think it does apply to all sports, but we see it a lot more close to heart, especially with women's sports, especially with softball. But I think it's about being a good human being and being able to converse. Making sure, like, when you go out to those big camps, clinics, whatever it is, I got recruited through camps because I couldn't afford to go to like super big college showcases. But even when I did go to a college showcase, I email like my list of coaches. I'd make a personalized short email. If it was to coach up, hey, Coacha, it's Michaela Edenfield here. I play 18U Florida Elite. We play at blank blank field. I play at 4 and 6. Would love to see if you could come out. I'll send you like a video and stat sheet of how I do. Like something simple, short, sweet. They do not want to read a whole love story paragraph. Ain't no one got time for that. And like I do truly think like you gotta text these people as if like you're hopping. I was about to say onto like Hinge for the first time. But
You're
you
leaving a
gotta
light.
email these coaches like with intent, like that you're interested and you have to do it. Like I would DM the or not DM, I guess now you could DM. I would email the coach before I went to the camp and then I would email him after replying off the first email just so they know and they can actually see a string of like several attempts of like you putting out information, you getting their attention, you putting that out. So I definitely think just being able to communicate, being able to like have that conversation and to give a firm handshake. At the end of the day, like you got to put out, as an athlete, you got to be able to perform, but there's also the big human part of it. People want culture. I think in any top 10 school at the end of the year, like we sit back and you're like, oh, well, like Texas Tech got the Pat Mahomes money. They got the
Right.
$1 million arm. But I know Nige personally, and I can tell you right now, the sweetest human being you will ever meet. And I'll also tell you one thing, just because of the money doesn't mean you're like all right, successful, right? I mean, they weren't guaranteed a national championship. No one's guaranteed to win due to money. I don't.
Okay, so before we had, that technical difficulty, we were talking a little bit about um, your recruiting process, how you would email coaches. I believe I read that you made the best decision for yourself at 15, and you're so glad that everything played out the way that it did. But 15's pretty young. Do you
Yeah, 15's
remember?
young.
Yeah, do you remember a lot from your recruiting conversations with Kocha?
Recruiting was the most chaotic. I wouldn't wish it upon my enemy, but that was also recruiting in my day and age. It's completely different now. It was before the September 1st rule had been put in place, essentially where you are not allowed to have communications of like offers XYZ until September 1st of your junior year of high school. Considering all of that, my recruiting process was a lot different because by the time I was 14, most D1 schools years were already taken. The majority of my class committed their 8th grade entering into 9th grade summer.
Wow.
Yeah, so like Janai Kerr, Kaylee Harding, um, probably the only one. except for me. That committed late was Autumn Belvi, and that's because she switched her commitment from Tennessee to Florida State,
Wow.
which yeah. So lovely fun. That was a whole different beast now. I'm super grateful that they did put the September 1st rule in place because nobody really knows what they want to do at 12. Yet along 15. Thankfully, I had a couple more years to develop, and to many, I was a late bloomer from the sport just truly because I didn't play on a super big travel team. So it was really difficult for me to play like elite high level softball. And I think at that moment in time, it's super hard for a Division 1 school to want to invest money into a young athlete without having some type of test with a more elite talent. So I think again, just trying to be in the room, right? Um, for me, it was like, how can I continue to get to know these coaches one on one in the camps and then into like turn around and like be able to compete and not be the best in the room was a big thing. And like if I'm continually in the best person in the room, there's an issue with that. Like I need to keep elevating, keeping my ceiling going. So once I become the best, got to break down, got to keep going. So I think that's like the motivation piece from being from Sneeds, being from a small town. I knew that like if I was going to want to do it and want to be successful and want to play Division 1 softball, I knew I was going to need to like really own into that piece. So super grateful. Um, so grateful I made the right decision the first time around. Clearly the transfer portal has become hot take as of late.
Yeah.
The transfer portal the past 2 years makes my brain hurt. Okay, it doesn't make it itch; it makes it hurt. Just truly because, especially in the softball vicinity, you got to think. Especially probably 4 years ago, a majority of these girls were like, moving out after their freshman year, and they played and they were a starter because of the choices that they made when they were 13. You don't really know how people function when you're 13. You don't
Yeah.
know if these coaches are full of BS when they promised you X, Y, and Z when you were 12, 13. You don't know if you're really going to get along with those other girls when they're also young adults at that moment
Right.
in time. You might get along when you're all 12, but like that doesn't guarantee you what's going to look like in 6 years. Absolutely not. And so I think onto that piece, like it's super hard to put athletes in that type of position and then expect it to all work out. People change dramatically in months, yet along years. And so I think there's also that bit of player development where we've seen some people be absolute stellar when they're 12, 14, 15 years old. And then they hit that brink and super hard to get over that lip without a lot of motivation. And I think too, like when you get to the next step of big girl softball, if you will, um, the coaches like they lean into it, and there's this level of just because you were committed to a college doesn't mean like you're good enough. I feel like there's a little bit less of that now since you're allowed to develop a little bit more as a player into your junior year, and that's when you can communicate and decide to commit to a college. But I think there was almost still a little bit in question of if the decision is a good payout for the athlete that they recruited when they were 12, and hopefully keeping up year to year and hopefully weighing out the piece that this will in turn become a good investment for the university and for the program. So super cool to see how that like works out. But it's also interesting to see, like, let's take a look at the Florida State transfer portal within the past 5 years and see and tell me what it looks like, because I can guarantee you people that have gone out have like there's a couple girls like within my class that have gone out. I don't really know what they're up to much these days, other than the fact that I knew that they felt like they made a better decision for them because they wanted either one more playing time, they wanted to be even closer to home. Maybe there's like some piece disconnecting for them, but you rarely ever hear them talk bad about the program. Maybe the
Right.
only thing I've heard probably and like a discouraging talk about Florida State softball is about our standards. And we have plenty of them because we have expectations amongst ourselves, and discipline to want to strive to meet all of those standards. Because at the end of the day, the bigger picture is like, I want to win a national championship and I don't care what I got to do on a day-to-day basis if I can get to that point.
Yeah.
Um, and I never reached that point. I got two silver trophies in my apartment right now, and I'm very grateful for. But like, I spent 5 years like that, and it gave me more than just winning a national championship or a runners-up trophy. It gave me discipline. It gave me future things I want for myself and how I want to present myself day to day. So if that's what you're going to complain about, for people that know a culture-based program that's been successful within the past decade underneath the same head coach, um, tough to find. But for two, like, you know what? If you want to talk about standards and if it wasn't for you, hey man, some things aren't for everyone. Division 1 ball is not for everyone.
Right.
Okay, like, and it takes a good bit of knowing yourself to know whether if it is truly indeed right for you. Are you wanting to play D1 ball because that's what your parents want you to do? They want you to be on TV, or do you want to play softball to get enjoyment from softball but also get a degree? I think later in these high school, the girls I was getting to talk to in that MLB RBI, like their upbringing puts them a little bit of a disposition for money and what they're trying to do and accomplish, and they don't want to be in debt, and they were asking me like did you have enough time to work a job? Me personally, I liked coaching. I liked giving lessons. That's about as much job space as I could possibly do in college. I didn't have enough time for like a, like an actual like job. Like softball was my job, and like I was able to get some coaching some hours in, but I was telling these girls like different levels have different time requirements that you put effort for. If you're going to a top 25 program, right? Power 5, Power 4, however you want to say it. People don't say Power 5 anymore. Um but like if you go to those places and you're seeing the time input, it's a lot different than what it looks like from a JUCO level to a D2 level. And I think every bit of softball, it's still softball, it's still love, it's still competitive. And I'm not saying that just because someone plays D2 and someone plays D1, one's better than the other. Quite, I've met some Division 2 ball players that have had better mindsets that I wish they would have played Division 1 ball, you know? But there's a lot of understanding of your why and what it means to you. Again, I go back to that because if you don't understand your why or why you're wanting to do something or why you're wanting to compete, then everything around it, the foundation, if it's not firm, everything's going to crumble. So I think too, like when you get to that level of ball, when you're getting 16, 17, like around that committing stage, like you got to really have a good talk with like you and the people, your support system around you, to know what you're really wanting to get the most of the sport. Do you want to go? Do you want to get your education paid for? Do you want to be able to compete at a high level and like potentially play for a national championship? Or do you just want to go to a Power 5 and being able to like do X, Y, and Z and have time for whatever? You know, like there's different pieces of sport, everything. And at the end of the day, like I got plenty of people from Sneeds that have gone JUCO to Division 1. I've known plenty of girls that have gone from, gosh, playing from the small little place in Panama City Beach to going to Rollins College, which is like a huge international school in Florida, which is super cool because it's right by Disney. If that's what you're
Yeah.
into, hey, by all means. I should have hit her up a little bit more and been like, "Hey, man, we're gonna go to Disney." Yeah, as much as people ask me, they're like, "Oh, like you're Floridian." I hardly go to Disney,
I
y'all. Like, I
know.
do not be
They
going.
always think that we just go to Disney,
Y'all, I
we
have
go to
gone to Disney
Publix and our
maybe
strip
like
malls.
maybe 3 times, and 2 of them was like during elementary and middle school, like
Yeah,
grade
you're
school
like, girl,
things.
I don't have the money for that. Like,
I don't have
a
the time.
sandwich in Disney's
I don't
like 30
have the
bucks.
care. I can watch drinking from Epcot off of TikTok. I don't need to
Yeah.
have
Yeah. Oh my
experience.
gosh. Don't get me started about like the drink around the world thing. I'm like, that is so expensive for
It is
one.
so ridiculous, but I love
Yeah.
watching those videos.
Yeah. No, I love watching the videos, but I always think to myself, I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, with the hotel and then
Mhm.
going to Epcot and then how much you'll pay for food, I really wonder if you could just go to one of those like real countries.
I'm
You
saying
know?
you could.
You
You
probably
could.
could. You probably could.
Especially Mexico. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've got some of them, in my family, but the Disney adult thing just really fascinates me, man.
It's something that needs to be studied. Hey, I love my classic Disney movies. I am not putting them
Yes.
down. Hey, you're a
Yeah.
Disney fan, be about it, represent. But hey, y'all,
Yeah.
you ain't gonna catch me in the Mickey.
No, not the ears. That's what I'm saying. I love Pixar.
Like,
I love the movies, but like the
get
ears.
a magnet. I'll get a magnet for my fridge. Like, that's as far as I'm going. I'll be like, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, like they look adorable on like 5-year-olds,
I
but
don't know.
like,
And they hurt too, because I remember wearing it as a
oh
kid.
yeah.
Like, they dig behind the ears.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll never forget like I remember like the headbands being like when I went as a kid, like the fancy ones. But
Hmm.
I think like
And now there's like a just a handsome amount on Etsy of like these girls putting their life work into it.
yeah.
Be the
Yeah.
most intricate designs I've ever seen in my life, and they're like talking about, oh, it's a bootleg Disney. I'm like, y'all, listen, like this girl's got tulle and lace and glitter going on this thing. She's about to give you a real Princess Tiana. I don't
Mhm.
know. I
Yeah.
respected the hustle. I respect the hustle, but personally, for me, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to walk out the door.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. And like how would it work with a softball helmet? Like I don't
Yeah,
know, it just
tough.
wouldn't work. It wouldn't
Put it
work.
on top of the helmet.
That would be so
No.
crazy.
I just like again like going back to where we began with all of this. Sorry for my random Disney insert. But like all the levels of softball and all the people I have met in this journey of my life, genuinely like softball will give so much back to you. You just need to know how to implement it in your life. And I think implementing softball means a lot more. It's about the softball IQ piece. It's about the people. It's about the coaches. It's always about the time and place, right? But getting recruited and making that decision when I was 15, probably one of the best decisions of my life. I was probably like this close going to UVA to follow Coach Rafter. Because
Um,
she was the assistant coach there at that point in time in 2018. And then the whole thing with the Olympics got pushed, and then she ended up just quitting her job at Virginia and became a volunteer coach. I decided to go to Florida State, right? Ended up going to Virginia just for one coach is silly, Michaela. Like you should not do that. How smart.
I was about to
Um,
say that's
and it
some
was
high
funny. Like
quality
I
logic.
I went to Florida State, and she ended up being my coach there for all my years. So
Yeah.
like, it's insane, but like that's very real. I had genuinely a whole pros and cons list of each school I like recruited. And it was so funny as my cons list for Florida State was that it was too close to home.
She said, "Get me
It's
out
like
of here."
it's too close.
It's too awesome. It's too cool.
Listen, like, and for the people that are kind of like that, and they're like, no, I want to get out. Like, I want to listen. you'll have plenty of time after the sport. I'm hitting post grad. I'm like, dang, like I got all this time in the world right now.
Yeah.
And like, or like job's about to hit me, but still, like you can hit all of that piece afterwards. Like you do not need to grow up immediately. Like, and for some people, they learn it the hard way and then they immediately move out hours away from home and then the repercussions come, or everyone's a little different, but like I will say personally, like for some people that are a little scared about being super close to home, y'all, you're gonna be so busy you won't be able to go home. Like there's so many things. Like don't get me wrong, like there's still some peace. Like it was nice being a local to Florida State, like to Tally. Like there's definitely more bonuses than otherwise. But I definitely will say, like, don't worry about it. Like you're gonna be busy. There's nothing to worry about.
I love that. Too close to home.
Yeah. Too close to home, but it felt like home. So hey,
Yeah.
we'll take our win.
Yeah. Well, I'll just ask you just a couple quick fun questions before we wrap up here, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, do you have someone that was maybe the most fun to catch for in college, and then also a pitcher that was the hardest to face?
Okay. Probably I love my pitchers that are super analytical, and love like the process and the behind the scenes, but also understand themselves to a high level. And I think I've kind of been able to experience both ends. I came in as, a newbie to the program at Florida State, and Kat kind of took me underneath her wing. And truly just being able to first learn from her and then learn with her as we kind of grew into being like more elite players together. She definitely aided me in that piece, and I'm forever grateful for her. Literally have her location. I follow and stalk her and Christina wherever they go. I love I love Cat to death. Um, and then it's kind of funny, like, a couple years later, we get in Jazzy Franzik. She's probably gonna be on my top list, even though I got 1 year with her and she was just a freshman. Like, it's all respect towards the game, understanding yourself and knowing like what you can do. And I think them two, other than the fact that they both wore the same number two, I think they just both bring this high level of intensity to the game. And I've always respected that. I love people that play with passion, but in an analytical and a how-to sense, especially as pitchers, because pitchers, like you're a QB, man. Listen, I'm there for you. I'm helping you out. I'll do what you need me to do. But at the end of the day, you're throwing this pitch to me and I need you to have full confidence of the confidence of the pitch you're throwing, the why we are throwing it, and then the where we are throwing it according to this particular batter and this particular setup and how many people we have on base, how many outs, right? There's a lot of different levels. It's like an onion. You're peeling back all of these layers and you start to really dissect and understand the game to a deeper knowledge. And it's nice to see that in a pitcher, with like almost like a poker face, silent confidence that they both bring. Because you're gonna have your loud, like Ruben Malin, that transferred from Washington to Oklahoma State. You're gonna have your loud, rowdy pitchers that definitely like have that confidence, definitely can throw the hammer. Definitely been some pitchers at Florida State that just straight compete. Mac Leonard, she had maybe two pitches straight compete. Straight compete. Loved every bit of it. Always appreciated catching her. There's been plenty of pitchers that had straight compete. Daniel Watson, straight compete. She threw that rise ball and she was about to throw it up your grill if she had to. Like I have a lot of respect for those type of pitchers as well. But truly, the people that made me fall more in love and more curious for the game in my time at Florida State would probably be Cat and Jazzy. So super grateful for my 32s that I got to catch.
I had a feeling Kat would be up there.
Yeah, I gotta I gotta show now. I like have it it's like super funny. There's this banner and like I sent her a picture of it the other day and I was like, dude, you're like mean fucking but it's like funny and then Jazzy created this little piece for me. Um,
Oh,
it was something that we did every single time we entered out onto the field. We played rock, paper, scissors, and her mom made me a little thing. Her and her mom made me that thing for senior stuff. So, like, super, super sweet people. And it's just so cool. Like, how many great people and how many great athletes I've been able to meet. Not only just because, like, oh, I'm good at the sport, but through Florida State, through like true friendships. And I'm really excited to see, like, what Florida State softball is going to look without me in the best way possible because it's so much more than the time I spent. It's how it continues to grow after I'm done as well. And again, I'm just proud to be an alumni.
well, I can tell you that you're going to be missed for sure, not only by the team, but by fans and everyone as well. I'm going to miss interviewing you on the sideline. But I mean, one of the reasons that you were just the first person that came to mind when starting this podcast, and the first person I wanted to call is because I swear every time you speak about softball, there's like at least 1,000 applicable life lessons that come out of
100%.
it. And I just appreciate everything you're doing, not only for the game, but for young women, and just how I feel like you're truly spearheading this vulnerability movement of, hey, it's okay. We can open up about the fact that these are things we thought about ourselves. Sometimes we're unsure of where we're going next, but we're going to get there. And just the different decisions that you've made throughout your career to place you where you are now. So just thank you so much for your time. And um, if there's just one thing that you would want to leave people with that, or maybe listening to this on a Tuesday on their drive home from work, what would something you'd want people to take away?
I would want people to take away the only knowledge that hurts you is the one that you don't know. And truly, I mean, is that knowledge is so impactful and powerful. And I think with wanting to be a discipline, a disciple, if you would like to say, of the sport of the game, um, I truly think like sport teaches people community, discipline, certain life lessons that just can't organically take place in many places outside of sport. And with that knowledge piece, there's that level of vulnerability to be able to say, hey, I want to learn. Um, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, ew, that's gross, or oh, that's weird. Um, I would stray away from those people and find the people that take the knowledge. Because in the pursuit of the knowledge, you're going to be able to find yourself and you're going to find answers that you never knew existed without it. So keep hunting, keep wanting to learn, and um, keep being a sponge because you just never know what information you could potentially pick up that's applicable to both the sport, but outside of the sport, take care of yourself as a person.
Well, there you have it. And again, thank you so much.